What's going on, folks? Good morning. Taking a look this morning at Tesla. It is the 7th of April, 6 a.m. on the dot. Looking at a Tesla daily chart. So yesterday, which was Wednesday the 5th, we had another decent pullback in the market as well as in Tesla. Looks like we were down 4.1%. $45.50. So that was a nice pullback after this massive rally from basically looks like the 750s up to 1150, give or take. So that was a very, very nice move, a couple $100 move off that higher low, which was printed basically right here on the 14th and 15th of March. So two things yesterday, which is good to see. We have a price gap, which I had mentioned right in here. So that price gap was between the high of the 23rd of March, so that was 1040.70, and the low of the 28th of March, which was 1053.60. So 1040 to 1053, that was an open price gap. And if you zoom in here a bit, we can see that Tesla filled that gap yesterday. We traded down to a low of 1027, and that filled the gap, which is a good thing to see. And I had mentioned in the last Tesla video a few days back that a thing of concern at that time was the price gap in Tesla, which was right here. And I said I wouldn't be surprised if we go back and fill that gap. The thing that we don't know is when that will happen, but as we get a little bit far away from the 200-day, which is this red line on the chart, it starts to become more of a concern that the price will pull back, and probably quite sharp. So between the 200-day getting a little bit far away from us and the lower price gap, a pullback is normal action, and it is nice to see this gap being filled here. And it looks like we have a overhead price gap, which is also interesting, and that will also get filled at some point. So we should see a rally here at some point once again, and we will fill that price gap and continue higher. So that price gap, it looks like we had a high yesterday of looks like 1079, and this low was 1087. So a couple dollar price gap there, but that is good enough for us. So we'll see how much further we pull back here on Tesla. It depends what the higher ups have in mind for these markets. We're probably a little bit oversold for the short term, but who knows? I had mentioned in yesterday's video, which actually was about a cryptocurrency, which is known as Casper Labs, Casper token, that the past 2 days, we took a pretty good neutral to a defensive stance in the markets. Things are starting to there's starting to be some cracks showing up in the markets. Of course, that can change at any moment, but until we see some more strength, we are kind of taking a little bit of a step to the side. So we'll see what happens here, but Tesla filled the gap, so that is good. Whether it goes lower or not, time will tell. So far, we are still in a confirmed uptrend. So we have a higher low here, and we broke out past this high on this move, and so far we have a higher high. So higher low, higher high, and we are looking for that next higher low to take place and that could basically come in anywhere in here. So we will see how deep this pullback is. We just don't really know where it will pull back here to create a higher low. One thing we can use to give us maybe perhaps a little bit of a roadmap, an idea of where that higher low could be, is we'll throw the fibs back up and you'll see something interesting. So we'll take that swing high, we'll go down to the swing low, and you can see, besides Tesla filling that gap yesterday, which was right in here, we also found support at the 618 fib level, this yellow horizontal line on the chart. So that's two things. That's good. We found support at a fib, and we also filled that lower price gap. So two good things, and we actually wicked up a bit. So price traded down, and we wicked back up. I also mentioned in the last Tesla video that when we found resistance on the 23rd of March at this fib level, the 618, and then we traded sideways for 2 days, and then we gapped above it. A lot of strength, but the concern was the price gap, which, like I said, got filled yesterday. So we'll see. Do we find support here and move higher off this fib level? Or do we trade lower and find support perhaps down at this fib level, or perhaps down here at these old highs, which is down in that 950 range? Time will tell. The markets, the NASDAQ futures are, at least they were not long ago, up a little bit. But like I mentioned, the markets are probably a little bit oversold at the moment. So a couple positives is we have an upper price gap. So that means at some point we can expect the price to move back higher up into this $1,080 range. Number two is we found support from yesterday at the fib level. And number three is we closed that price gap. So whatever the higher ups have planned for the markets, we should expect higher Tesla prices if they aren't going to push this market any lower. But it's going to be hard to buck the trend if they do that. And even for a very strong stock like Tesla, that will not really stand a chance for very long. So we will see, but I'm not surprised to see a pullback, because this was an extremely strong move to the upside, and at some point we'll pull back and create a higher low. We just don't know where that will be in here. So got to have some patience, but if you are positioned well, then there is really not too much of a concern. Our positions have trailing stops in place in the positive, so we don't really have much risk on the table here, and that is the way we like to keep it. Of course, not financial advice, just want to give you a quick fill-in and my thoughts on Tesla, and that's about it. So if this thing starts to move higher here, it'll only be a matter of time until we get back up into these close, if not to an all-time high, but it's going to depend on the general market and what they have planned for that. So a little bit of a concern seeing a lot of market indices positions going flat. But like I said, we took a little bit of a neutral, stepped aside, and a little bit of protection, because you just never know how low the markets will go. Looking for some strength to come back in here, and maybe we'll see that the rest of the week. All right, everybody. Wanted to share one more thing with you guys. Down here, Richard Ney. If you don't know who he is, give him a look. Look him up. What is a disaster for most is an opportunity for a few. What is a disaster for most is an opportunity for a few. And that, I really like that quote, because when you get down here in market bottoms, those who were buying the tops because the news was great and they didn't want to let the price get away from them are probably throwing the towel in at these nasty candles down here. And that is a great opportunity for those who want to take the opposite trade and get long. So I like that quote. Figured I wanted to share it with some like-minded individuals. Check us out on Patreon. Check us out on Amazon and Redbubble. We have merch, and help support the channel. Greatly appreciate it. Go ahead and consider subscribing to the channel if you have not yet. A lot of the viewers checking out these videos are not yet subscribed. So greatly appreciate all of the current and new subscribers as well. All right, guys, have a fantastic Thursday. I will catch you in the next video.